And then when you put all this, find something you do on a weekly basis, because maybe doing certain things may not be practical on a day to day. So find a purposeful activity like volunteering, or a hobby you want to follow, or an activity you want to engage in, or, just being helpful in other spaces. Make it a purposeful activity for the week, or maybe every month, whichever works for you, really. Because studies show when you practice this kind of habits that are daily formation, they become habitual over time. And then over time, you actually do them automatically without it being a task and where you feel like you're being pressured. Because it actually makes you feel better, and your body then just wants to do it in an automated manner. These habits will strengthen again the neuroplasticity, they improve your attention and your memory, cognitive decline. These are all areas that we try to improve when we practice healthy aging, or smart aging for that matter. And in these spaces, even caregivers will benefit because it reduces their burnout and enhances or the loved one we are caring for is given the best possible love, care, and attention. These three areas, mindfulness, meaning, and connection, really play a big role because caregiving is a physically and emotionally demanding space. They undergo stress, sleep disruption. They are very high risk at getting depression or later life dementias. Uh, you know, totally ignoring their own health. They may have medical conditions that get ignored. So when caregivers start practicing mindfulness, it will do the same thing it's doing for the older person, but in the same space, it's allowing them the space to debrief and, find a break within the caregiving space. When they look for purposeful activities for themselves, it gives the caregiving space a meaning. So the carer is also looking for purposeful activities to do with their loved one, which gives them meaning for themselves. So whether they're caring for somebody or not, they're still able to carry out that purposeful activity when they're in their own free time, or even after we, lose our loved ones due to age and things like that. So it leaves you with a rewarding pathway, a continuum of care for yourself, because you have been practicing this as a caregiver while caring. And it also reduces the emotional exhaustion that comes with caregiving. When we go into the connectedness, social support for caregivers remains very important because it becomes the buffer for fatigue. It improves their ability to delegate when they are unable to cope rather than just push, push, push. When you have a social network or connectedness, you're able to reach out as a caregiver for assistance when you feel overwhelmed. You're able to pick up that call and say, I just need somebody to take me for a coffee, and I need to take a break, or I just need someone to come and hold this so I can just go and get my hair done. Any small thing goes a long way, and the social connectedness really, really plays a big role for the caregivers to support themselves in the caregiving. So when you apply these three pillars in the caregiver space, you're maintaining resilience, patience, and well-being that is beneficial both to the caregiver and the care recipient along the journey of caregiving. So I've come actually to the end of this, and the key takeaways for today would be that healthy aging really involves the body, the mind, and your relationship. Mindfulness is protecting your attention and your memory. Purposefulness lowers inflammation and protects your cognition. Connectedness strengthens your immunity and emotional resilience. All these together create a holistic foundation for well-being, which will enhance the quality of life and resilience in older age. So when you're caring for an older person, you see what impact it's having. And when you're the caregiver yourself or caring for self, you're creating a very big foundation for well-being in the later years of your life. Okay, so there's a place I have something called interactive reflection. I want us to go through this shortly. Since we have the time, I wasn't sure if we'd have time to do this, but I'd like to do it since we have time. Okay.
Hizo pesa mzuri hapana, 17 anunua iPhone.
Sorry, are we together?
Kali kadogo kangu kamosha kalitumiwa na rafiki yangu iPhone ikiwa na bando za kidogo natumia.
Sorry, there is somebody talking in the background. Sister, are you with us? Sister?
Yes, I'm there. I just want to mute those people who are talking.
Okay. So then we can go to the interactive reflection.
Yeah. Sylvia Ngosa, you have something? Somebody has carried up her hand. Yes, Sylvia Ngosa.
Oh, sorry. No, okay. Let me switch it off.
You have a question, Sylvia? Let's go back. I want to see those people because they're talking at the Doc, you had said before you do the exercise, you said I remind you about the importance of cortisol.
Yes, I was coming to that before we go.
Talk about the importance of cortisol and why we need it before we can continue.
Okay, so cortisol is the body's stress hormone, but its role is not limited to stress. So why is it important to understand it? It's a hormone that's produced by our adrenal glands, and it's regulated by a certain system. Remember, I said our brain has every aspect of our body has different systems. So there's one called the HPA axis. It's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and it has a certain rhythm it follows. So the cortisol is highest in the early mornings because it's helping you wake up and feel alert. Then as the day goes, it starts declining through the day. And then it goes lowest at night, which is supportive for healthy sleep. All right. Now, this rhythm of cortisol being regulated in this manner is very important for healthy aging. Because when your cortisol is being managed in this particular system or in this axis of highest in the morning, declining over the day, and lowered at its lowest at night, it helps you regulate your energy metabolism, which is now going to support your blood glucose and your energy during illness or stresses. It helps support or regulate your immune functions. So cortisol plays a role on inflammation, on the inflammatory changes and immune reactions your body goes through. Cortisol is also important in blood pressure regulation. Cortisol again plays a role in your memory, your attention, and emotional regulation. And of course, as it says, we call it the stress hormone because it helps your body adapt to the physical and emotional challenges that come. So when it is in the right amounts and rhythm, which I just explained, it's actually very protective and necessary. Now, when we are aging, what happens to cortisol? It can't, with aging, changes come naturally. This rhythm that you're seeing that's high and then going down as the day goes on becomes flattened. So there's very little difference in the levels between the morning and evening. That's why a lot of older adults struggle with sleep. Sometimes the cortisol is the reason they can't get sleep. Sometimes with aging, you can have higher evening cortisol and then slower recovery after stress. So when you've been under stress, your cortisol doesn't just drop the way it should. So these changes come associated with what we call poor health outcomes because frailty is increased, cognitive decline is increased, your overall health is affected. And that's why regulating your cortisol becomes very important. Cortisol is also it affects a lot of when you have a very chronic high cortisol. So when you're under stressful situations and your cortisol is constantly on a high, over long term, it starts affecting your muscle loss, your bone loss, cognitive function, sleep problems, mood disorders, your metabolic effects, like increase, you put on weight, abdominal fat, which is not good for you because it'll worsen your diabetes and blood pressure. And again, your immune system ages faster when you have higher cortisol. Now, if you have very low cortisol, it also becomes a problem, especially in older people who are very frail or people who have very chronic illness. They get a very, what we call blunted cortisol response. So they're unable to handle stress, infection, or surgical procedures as well as they would, which affects their overall healing and our health outcomes. Low cortisol also gives you fatigue, weakness, and poor recovery. So we're not talking about having lowered cortisol levels all the time. Remember, for healthy cortisol rhythm, the early morning cortisol being high is important. When it's not balanced, you're going to be fatigued in the morning, which doesn't help you be purposeful during your day. So the stress and aging connection, like basically when you're under chronic physiological or psychological stress, loneliness, caregiver burden, financial worries, illnesses, which will lead to this axis of cortisol regulation being activated all the time, which means cortisol starts getting dysregulated, which um, accelerates how you're aging. What we age on a biological level gets worse. So remember, we talked about the allostatic load, the wear and tear from long-term stress is actually enhanced when cortisol is not balanced. And how do we maintain well cortisol? We went through all these activities, but other additional ways of balancing your cortisol is having consistent sleep wake times, morning light exposure, reducing the screen use at night. That helps with sleep regulation, which helps lower your cortisols when it's meant to be low. Physical exercise lowers your baseline cortisols, and it helps you then protect your muscle mass. Again, stress reduction, mindfulness, purposefulness, social connectedness, all of them are very, very key in balancing your cortisol levels. When we are lonely, again, our social and emotional health gets affected because cortisol goes high. So this is why I say cortisol becomes a very, very big hormone that needs to be regulated and maintained in the right way for healthy aging. Right? Are we okay with that?
Yes.
We can now go into our interactive reflections.
Any other explanation? I think, Doc, you have really brought it out very clearly, the importance of cortisol in our life and how it helps us to age well and age properly. So anybody who has any question or any clarification before we move to the exercises?
Excuse me.
Yes. Ombaka, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Sister Lydia. When
Yes,
doctor demonstrated about the skill of walking, listening to your walking step, the network was a bit disturbing. I did not get so well. So I asked if possible, maybe to repeat to do the exercise in order to get.
Okay. Doc, you get that?
Yes, we'll go through it. I'll go through it
Yes.
as we do reflection. So what is an interactive reflection? What does reflection mean? Reflection is basically a very big brain strengthening exercise. So reflection is basically when you sit and ask yourself questions. How? Like, let's start today. For now, I want you to take a minute and ask yourself, what's giving your life meaning? You're reflecting on your full life here. What has given your life meaning in today, in the past few months, in this year, in the new year that has begun, in the year that passed? When you start reflecting and going back and starting to ask yourself these kind of questions, it helps you enhance the activities that worked for you or helps you identify what didn't work for you. So you see, when you're reflecting, the kind of things you want to reflect on is what is giving your life meaning. How are you practicing the mindfulness? Who is keeping you connected? These questions are very important because the purpose is being defined, the meaning of your life is being defined. You're in reflecting, you're being very mindful about what you're trying to define, and then you're identifying the support system you require to have all these practices being integrated into your day-to-day life. So even 2 to 3 minutes of being, going through guided mindfulness will strengthen your ability to pay attention to what gives your life, particularly the purpose it has, the meaning it has, and how you're going to support yourself for that. When, for example, if you're alone and you have no family or children directly around, you will be able to then identify the support systems you require. You may find yourself, because you now are being purposeful, you'll say, maybe I can join a voluntary group that goes to church on Sunday and visits, the homeless children. You've given yourself a purpose, you've given yourself a meaning, and you're giving yourself social connectedness. And as you plan your week, you'll be planning activities around to be able to do that activity, which will give you physical activity, mental stimulation, and overall something to focus on as you go by your day to day, because this gives you a focus. So I want all of you to ask yourself these 3 questions that are on the screen. What gives your life meaning? How do you practice mindfulness? And who keeps you connected? It will help you answer a lot of things that will help you create this system of practicing and forming daily habits towards mindfulness, meaning, and purpose in life. Has that helped you?
Yes. Can you
So
post
the
the
last
questions?
slides, yeah, they're there. They're on the slides. I think sister will
Somebody is
share the
asking a
slides.
question.
She's
Ombaka,
asking about the questions. Sister, you might need to change the slide. Yeah, these questions. So I want this is more about internal reflection and doing this at your time and seeing the impact. It would be great to get a feedback on this from yourselves at a later stage on how this, when you're able to practice it. Maybe sister, I'll ask in a month for us to just have a small session for the attendants to come and give us a feedback on, is this working for them, how it has changed, and how we can help them help other people do the same.
okay.
The next slide is giving us a small practical tips for daily integration. That's something like, where we said start small. So this may be something you can start with. It's a summary of what I talked about earlier. In the morning, start with a 5-minute mindful breathing or meditation. By midday, make sure you have created a space of connectedness with somebody, whoever that may be with your life. Evening, you're journaling one meaningful thing that is either for the day that's coming or the day that's past. And on a weekly basis, try and find a purposeful activity that you can engage in. Purposefulness can mean anything. Even just taking your children or meeting up with your grandchildren to, engage with them socially is a purposeful activity. It's a time for bonding. But to do that, you have to create the time. They have to create the time. It could be just taking a walk in the forest to try and connect with nature. That's also purposeful. You're going there to observe what's happening in nature, what changes have happened since the last time you visited. It's giving. So purpose doesn't always have to be defined by an activity that's always about giving or doing something. It could be either way. For the caregivers, this plays a very big role in finding the breaks they need, finding support groups that can help them deal with, the burden of caregiving. Practice gratitude for every day that comes. And I feel that this goes a long way in keeping our mind really, really, engaged, really, really active, and gives us a space to look forward to actually aging. So with that, I come to the end of today's conversation.
So let us share. There are people with the questions and clarifications.
Definitely.
People with questions and clarification? Yes. Ruth, you have something to say?
No, I have nothing. I'm only grateful for whatever I've received, although I joined a bit late, but I've gained something. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any people who have questions or clarifications? Sister Susan?
No, I don't have questions, sister. I'm very grateful for what I've received today.
You're welcome. I've seen somebody. Koske, Christine? Yes, Vicky. Yes, go ahead. Vigi?
Yes, we are really much grateful for the lesson. It's very much helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she doesn't might repeat for us the questions, the slide with the questions, please.
The slide with the questions, we shall repeat. Before that, Jesua, you have something to say?
Yes, I just want to share that I love the picture that has been posted at the end. We're looking after my father who is obviously aged, but he suffered a stroke. But just last week, I had my nieces come through, and one of them is just 5 years old. And just the joy that it gave him to have a young person come in and count his fingers. And I was just reading this and looking at the mindfulness, the meaning and purpose and connection. And she was like, Papa, teach me how to count. And they are counting fingers together. I think that brought out the mindfulness and just the purpose in him that he can still do something and teach a young child, and the connection, just the smiles on both the little girl and him. It was beautiful to watch. And it just reminded me by looking at the picture that was posted at the bottom. Thank you so much for the lesson. Learned a lot.
Thank you. That's lovely. You have seen the three things, how they were connected, the mindfulness, the purpose. Dorcas, you have something to say. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to say that it's an insight that I have gotten from the class that no matter what level we have in our lives, our life has a meaning and a purpose.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Somebody has something to say. Yes? Victoria? Vicky? There's somebody there? Camilla, you have something to say?
Sister Aquinata.
Yes, Vicky, go ahead.
Thank you very much for organizing this. Thank you very much, Daktari, for teaching us these tricks that we can use in our lives so that we can also start practicing how to be mindful of what we do. I've liked the experience that the sister gave of their father. And I also came across somebody who got a stroke.
Yeah.
And when people go to visit him, he cries a lot. And in the crying, it's like he's trying, struggling whether he could be able to speak.
Yes.
And then I was moved by what his sister said. Probably
you never know when the children can be around him and all that. That can be also an experience of making him also return his speech.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that connectedness, that purposefulness and connectedness can bring a new sight in him. Thank you, Vicky.
Welcome.
Thank you. Somebody else who has something to say or anything you want Daktari to do or to clarify. Ombaka, are you comfortable? Lydia?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm happy with the doctor's explanation, and I wish maybe from her, because she might be having a good experience. One of our sisters has ever said that there is a probability that if now we like religious, if you are a religious who is a noisemaker in the community, when you get old, that age now, you become even noisemaker in that house of the aged people. You are given this, you don't feel comfortable, you are given food, none have not eaten. What you were when you were young, that is what you are at that age in that house. I don't know, is it true or this was just her experience maybe wherever she was working? So that I know now, like me, my character, how I'm going to be those days when they come.
Sister Lydia, that is lovely. Let Daktari explain something. You know, we have to understand the difference when there is dementia that has come in and when you have got your character that you had from the beginning and it is still, the traits are still in you. So, Daktari, please do something. She wants some clarification.
Sorry. When you see, this is what I say, that as we are aging, we need to also remember that aging is a beautiful space. And when we come to it wondering that, how can I not be the way I was? We have to remember certain changes are going to come with age. So learning to embrace changes and then adapt to the changes actually help us thrive in that space we are in. So I'll give you an example of my own mom. She's 84 years old, very independent, very active. But she's at that point of, I don't want to be dependent on anyone. So she'll still do things she shouldn't do, not because we are restricting her. Her body is now limiting her. But it takes a lot of understanding and self-awareness to know that if I do this to this point, instead of helping myself, I'm going to create a bigger problem. So learning to embrace the challenges, the limitations that are a natural aspect that come, and adapting to what we can do helps you look into this space rather than being fearful. You're actually excited because you look for new things. Just as an example with what sister said, when the grandkids came and they asked for help to count, the father felt purposeful in that space. So for you as an individual, you need to look for that on what will give you purpose. I don't know if that has answered you.
Sister Lydia, are you getting that? Lydia Ombaka, where are you?
Yes.
You look for purpose and adaptation as you age. Thank you. Augustine?
Yes.
Augustine, yes, you have something to say? You have a question?
Just to comment on what was just taught for these hours and the questions which are just been given to us. What gives your life meaning today? It has, it has helped me to understand the person that I am, because that will help me to understand the person that I deal with in terms of caregiving for those around me. And also to So what do you practice mindfulness? How do you practice it? In most cases, I've said it before that the work that I do, like, being a tailor, then usually when I've done it for a long time, then I just go down to school to release my mind and to see those small little children, and to go to visit around the workers who are here, who are elderly, just to see them. How are they? And to have that conversation, so that releases my mind, and it keeps me connected to also to the call that I've answered, that I said, here I am, coming to serve different people, and to serve in a special way the people that the Lord has entrusted me with. That's all I can say for today. Thank you so much. The session was enriching, and it was really profound. I'm so much grateful.
Thank you. Charity, Sister Charity, go ahead.
Yes. So I wanted to ask about the exercise the doctor has done, the last one for walking. I was out of network.
Okay,
I was
so for the
left
walking,
behind.
no problem.
Yes.
So for the walking, the main thing is, as you're walking, not to just walk without purpose and mindfulness. So when you put a foot down, when you're taking your steps forward, rather than just walking when you're looking around, I don't say look at your feet when you're walking, but just be mindful of your step. If you're mindful, you'll pace yourself the right way. Even as I walk quickly, I don't know if you can see, even if I'm walking quickly and I'm focusing on my